right. Hello and welcome everybody to our fourth episode here of the Team Next Level Coaches Roundtable. I'm, as always, joined by my wonderful co-hosts, Marilyn, Rich, and James. Guys, give a little hello.
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 And today we have a very special guest to join us. We've got Dr. John Mendenhall joining us from the Cary, North Carolina area. John, give us a little hello.
Hey, what's up? Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. So, Dr. John, we thought we'd bring you on as our, you're the director of the Team Next Level group. And are you, is that the correct title to use for you?
Yeah, you can say that. Head coach, director. I like director.
Director sounds good.
Yeah, sounds good.
In addition to that, you're also a doctor of physical therapy at Next Level Physio. Recently moved down to North Carolina and left us all up here in the cold Northeast.
Yeah, this 75-degree weather is pretty nice so far.
We've had good weather the last the last couple of days have been nice, but you definitely have the better deal going. So we thought we'd bring Dr. John on to give a little bit of a background of kind of how the club started and dig into his background as an athlete and as a coach and stuff like that, and get some cool info out to you guys, you the listeners. So let's kind of where's a good spot to start? James, what do you think's a good a good question?
I don't know. John is an amazing athlete, full Ironman finisher, all around great athlete. So why don't we go back to your childhood? Were you always into sports? What did you like to do? What type of things did you do as a kid?
Well, probably when I was like real little, I started with like Little League baseball. I don't know if I was amazing or every kid got this, but it was like Home Run King, and like Sports Illustrated was the background.
Do you think you still have some of those picture cards? Yeah, some of your baseball cards?
Yeah, exactly. But then I had swim lessons as a kid just because it was like important. Gymnastics, a couple of years, just jumping in the foam pit, just for fun. But then I kind of got a little bit more serious into like football, baseball. And then when I was like 11, I guess I started swimming, which is actually kind of late because like most of the friends that I swam with, they started when they were like 5 or 6. So I was kind of like late to the sport. I was terrible. I was so bad. Last one in the pool. I was a little bit chubby. I was a lineman in football. So this was like a good way to just lose weight and stay active. And then
the lineman.
Yeah, football lineman. But the problem with football, when you're that little, it's all about weight classes. So I was in like the 130 plus weight class, whatever it is. And so I was 11 years old going up against like 14-year-olds. And these guys are like muscle 130. And I'm just like pudgy over here. So that didn't last very long. I like swimming a lot better.
John, when you moved into the pool, did they, like as an 11-year-old, did they put you with like the 8-year-olds, or did you, because like, that's a common thing, like new kids on the team, like you fit in your speed group, but not necessarily.
Yeah, I was definitely like a foot taller than everyone in my swim class at the time, like my group or whatever. And then we had a really small like summer league. Like I started summer league. We had a really small group. So we only had like 3 15, 18-year-olds. And I wasn't going to score as an 11, 12-year-old, or maybe this was on 13 or 14. I wasn't going to score at that group, so they just threw me in a relay so that the relay automatically got points. And there was like all these fast guys on my team, and I was just like, hold on for dear life. That was pretty fun. But so I got into swimming around 11, turned that to be more serious when I was like 14, 15, kind of shot up puberty-wise, so that kind of helped. Then I took it, I wanted to swim Division I at a certain point, and fortunately, I was able to go to UMBC, and they recruited me to swim D1. We were conference championships 3 years and individual champion 1 year. So that was really, really fun.
John, when do you think you had the, when did it pop in your head that college swimming at that kind of level was a possibility? Do you remember any kind of like event or like something that like tipped you in that favor? Because I mean, like a lot of kids do summer swimming, a lot of kids do club swimming, but very few make that jump to, a really high level D1 program.
Yeah. So my freshman year of high school, I broke my hand, fooling around with friends, like jumping off like high things, and I couldn't play baseball anymore.
Parkour?
Yeah, like parkour. And I couldn't play baseball because it was my throwing hand.
Jumping off high things.
Yeah, like trees and stuff like that. Anyway, so I was still swimming, and I just kicked for like 6 weeks straight. Like I couldn't pull whatever it was. I was so bad at freestyle kick that I was like, Coach, please, can I just do breaststroke kick the entire time? And I would literally do 6 weeks straight of just like breaststroke kick. And this kind of like kick started my breaststroke trajectory of being a little bit faster. So like that year I qualified for like the YMCA Nationals, which is like their tippy top, I guess, meet that they go to. It's, learning about it now, it's like not the same kind of level as like USA Nationals. But so that's when I kind of
but I mean, don't take anything away from yourself. YNATs is still pretty darn fast.
Oh yeah, it's extremely.
You're not
fast.
A slouch in the pool if you're making YNATs.
Yeah, it's the fastest I guess you could go in the YMCA level of swimming competitions. So I made that my freshman year, and then sophomore year I made it, junior year I made it, and then I made a switch because there was a little bit of change in like what the procedure was for training and whatnot, and I found that I was a little bit better with middle distance events and not the sprint events that my YMCA was focused on. So I switched to another team, and then I made junior nationals that year, and that was like really, really cool because that was out in Minnesota, and they have a beautiful pool out there. I guess at this time I had already committed to UMBC, and so I was on that trajectory of going faster. It was probably starting off my freshman year, but closer to the junior year, I guess.
Yeah. Awesome.
Yeah.
So what's college swimming like? At a D1 program, we all hear about like the big programs of Stanford and Tennessee and stuff like that. But, you're swimming D1, like what's that like?
I say it's the best time in my life. Like it was so like by that time, that was the best thing in my life. You come into school nervous, not knowing if you're going to meet anyone, like find friends, all this stuff. And you're immediately put on a team of 60 people that are all like-minded. You have coaches kind of like mentoring you through the whole process of school and studying and being smart with your time and whatever. And you just come in as a family, and it's like really cool. You get to pick and choose who you're like best friends with, but when you're eating, sleeping, eating, did I say that already?
You probably eat a lot swimming that
probably.
much.
Yeah, that was one of the best parts. You get 4 meals a day, and I was eating all 4 of them.
So talk to us about the transition from that to.
I got to get one last question in. Tell us about your first college swim meet, John.
Oh my gosh.
You swam against NC State, right?
Yeah. So NC State is this really big Division I school, very good swimming school, high competition. And I will never forget this race. So let me just pre-frame it.
We won't either after today.
Let me just pre-frame it, okay? So you go into college, all college swimmers wear Speedos. And there's like a little competition on who can wear like the smaller Speedo.
Really? Interesting.
Correlation to faster times, maybe. I don't know. So anyway.
Marilyn, you've been visiting colleges recently. You haven't picked up on this.
We haven't seen a swim team.
Yeah, just go to a swim meet. You'll see the smallest Speedos you've ever seen. So we get to the pool, warm up. I go up for my first event ever, 200 IM, and I see around me like these are men. Like I'm just a kid, right? I'm 18. So I was like, all right, I'm gonna dive as far as I can, go in the water as fast as I can as possible, and try and race them. I dive in the water, and I guess I dove like really far or really fast, but like the water whooshing down my body and the tight Speedo just like pushed my junk out of the suit. So I didn't want to get disqualified by like stopping and fixing myself. So I swam the entire race just hanging out.
Didn't you say there
That's an
was
amazing
an
story.
awkward
I thought he was going to say something about the
moment during your
goggles
flip
coming
turn?
off. Like,
Right,
yeah,
or with an
so-
official.
So if you're familiar with the 2IM, right, you do butterfly kick into butterfly, come back down, then you do backstroke. That was like the most awkward, just because in backstroke you learn that you're supposed to have high hips, get high on the water. And at this point, I was like, no way. So like I'm literally sitting in the water, like kicking like this, like praying that this is over with. But
Well, John, we got a surprise for you. Rich, why don't you roll that clip that we found?
just censor it.
Could you imagine?
Yeah, but off one of the walls, I like caught eyes with the guy right next to me, and I was like, "Please don't look down. Please don't look down." Please don't look down. Yeah,
locked eyes with the guy next to me.
just like straight, like don't look down.
Don't break eye contact.
Got to hold that streamline, right?
Yeah, anything to go past.
You will never forget that
No,
story.
I don't.
As long as the goggles stayed on, right?
Oh, my goggles were fine. Yep, it was just I guess my Speedo is a little small.
Yeah.
Or maybe
Well, you
not
won that
small
contest
enough.
that day.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, so that was a pretty entertaining one.
Win by distracting everyone else. Did everyone
Yeah.
see that guy?
If only it worked.
Where do we go from there?
Well, that's how John earned his nickname Periscope.
The imagery. Oh my gosh.
Oh man.
This is like you can't follow this. This is where you end the
Yeah.
episode. and you
Thank
go
you,
to
folks.
part
Mic
two.
drop.
This is the
Just-
boring
we're
stuff.
we're
Just
done.
gonna go now.
We're going to have to change the rating of this episode now.
Oh,
Oh
hilarious.
man. Yeah. So that was a good one. First race ever.
It's hard to top that
No,
one.
I know.
I'm sure.
hmm
So,
Yeah.
Any other highlights
Yeah.
during college swimming, John?
Yeah, my senior year. Oh man. So I was a pretty solid breaststroker coming in. This one's not as funny, but it was more of like a happy ending, I guess. Freshman.
Interesting choice of words, but we'll go with it.
Yeah, I got to slide that in there every once in a while. So my freshman year, sophomore year, and junior year, I actually got second in the 200 breaststroke, which was like my main event at the conference championships. And then my senior year, I go into the 200 breaststroke, just focused on my race, doing my thing. I go in there, I'm swimming. The guy next to me had won the 100 breaststroke, so he had a little bit more top end speed. We go out together. I'm like second or third at the 50, the 100. And by the 150, I kind of like touch right behind the lead. And then I'm able to just like pull off the win in like the most exciting fashion, like muscling through it, just like pure grit, touch the wall. And I beat the guy by like 0.1 and get a conference
Oh, wow.
championship individually. So that was really, really good.
That's awesome.
It was the one race. So my dad would come to every single meet. He was really awesome. Like he drove to this NC State meet that we just talked about. Luckily, nothing was on footage, but he would film all my races so that I could critique my event and work on whatever. And this was the one race he just wanted to enjoy, and he didn't get it on video, which is like bittersweet because I would have loved to have watched it and like how close it was. But I was just happy my dad got to enjoy it just as much as I did.
Yeah, I feel like you're more in the moment too when you're not filming and
Yeah,
you're just
because you're
watching.
just
and
looking at
observing.
this
Sure.
little screen. Yeah, you kind of miss it. So that's
Yeah.
why he did that.
oh, that's nice.
Yeah, good stuff.
That's good. So, we ready to talk about triathlon?
Yeah, that was a lot of backstory.
How did you get from that? How did you go to triathlon?
Probably
From
like many
college
other
swimming.
people. Yeah, probably like many other people. Someone roped me into it. Jerry was like, "Hey, you'd be really good at this." So it was funny. I started training for triathlons with no bike. So it was probably like November, December, I guess. I was like going to the gym. I just picked up swimming again. was taking spin classes, starting to run. And my whole thought was like, okay, I'm going to use tax return money and buy my first bike and then race like 2 or 3 months later. And that's pretty much what happened. And I was basically addicted ever since.
So you also weren't a runner before.
Oh, no.
That was something new for you?
No, not at all. Yeah. I would run for like conditioning in like college, but it was like 200 meters at a time. It wasn't like an actual run. Yeah. Yeah. So just a swimming background.
So as you were getting into tries at that point, what do you think are some lessons like that you learned early on? Maybe a couple of tips for our listeners that you can give. You know, what things you picked up as you were getting into it?
I would say probably the number one thing is like there's no shortcuts. Like hard work and like continuity, or like just going by the book, like day in, day out, is really good. Like consistency. And then you can't really shortcut speed either. So gradual progression, probably consistency, and then probably like education, whether it be books, YouTube, joining a team, or hiring a coach. Those are like the biggest things that I would say. Yeah, that would be really helpful for new people.
So this probably segues a little bit into it. What have you seen a lot of athletes, maybe even beginner athletes, veteran athletes, what are some common mistakes you see them make when it comes to their training or racing? You've probably, you've coached me for a while too and watched my journey. You've probably seen me make a bunch of them as well. So why don't you share some of those things?
He's like, yeah,
air my dirty laundry.
Yeah, right. James did,
Don't wear a Speedo.
Don't wear a Speedo.
Yeah. Wear more clothing. So I would say the biggest thing that people mistake is just not following heart rate or knowing what heart rate training is. Biggest thing people do is like, oh, it's a race, I gotta just go for it and go as hard as I can, as long as I can, and then what happens. And generally that's just not how athletes work. They fine-tune themselves, like professional athletes fine-tune themselves to like certain zones, so that they're running, biking, swimming, all that in specific zones that they know that they can hold for a long period of time. If it's a sprint, like a super sprint, like if you ever look at the Super League triathlon, those things are pretty crazy. They're like,
they're so much fun to watch, aren't they?
They're so fast. So it's like, they'll do a 200 swim, and then they'll do like 2 miles on the bike and then a 1K run. But then they do that a couple of times, but their heart rate is like super high because, they're working hard for, 20 minutes, 30 minutes at a time. As opposed to like the longer races when you're working out for an hour, you can't hold red line for the entire time, right, James?
Right, you can try, right, James?
No, I can't even go into yellow. Like yellow, I'll shut down.
Yeah. So I would say heart rate training is the biggest thing. If you don't know much about it, you can always reach out to us and we can educate you on that. But that's probably like the biggest thing new people don't know is heart rate training.
John, how about any mistakes that you personally have made where you're like, oh, dude, I'm not doing that again? Like anything you can think of from a race, like a story or something like that, where you just, as soon as you did it, you knew like, oh, that was a mistake.
Yeah. I didn't know it exactly at the time, but my first half Ironman, I was kind of shooting for a time. I'm really competitive, if anyone knows me. It's like, I won't let you pass me. So I get through the swim. I'm like top 3 out of the water, get on the bike, and I'm only getting passed by like a few people, not too many. And I get to the run and I feel great. Like I didn't overbike. So I start running and I'm running. Oh my gosh, I was running at like a 6:45 pace. This is going for a half marathon. And I get to mile 7 and I'm like, oh no, like that runner's high is gone and I still have 6 miles to go. And it basically ended up with like me and this guy, we were like power walking like the last 5 miles of the race. And it would be funny because one of us would like get a gel and like power walk a little faster and pass. And then the other one would have a gel, and we would just do this until the finish line. But I cramped up so bad because I was going too hard.
And was it just a wall that you like fell off? Like, are you holding 6:45 until the bottom drops out?
Until I was holding like 8:45, and then that was for like a mile, and then it was like 10 plus, and then it was like 12 plus. Yeah, it got significantly slower.
But who won at the end?
You out-power walked him, didn't you?
Oh, I did.
You beat him. Yeah. No doubt.
Yeah.
John doesn't mention that guy was like 85 years old or something.
Well, James, you didn't have to bring it up. Yeah. So
he beat the guy with the walk.
Yeah, that was a big learning lesson in the heart rate training, and realizing that even though it's called a race, it's more of like a long training day for those longer events. So if you kind of change your mindset and know like, all right, in this heart rate zone, I can work for hours, right? In this heart rate zone, I can probably only work for like 30 minutes. And that's exactly what I did on the run. Worked out for like 30 minutes or whatever it was, an hour, I don't know. And then I bonked. So yeah, learn from me.
So going off of that, was that like your worst suffer fest, or was there ever a time you wanted to quit in a race?
I probably want to quit like every single race.
No.
Yeah, because it's so hard.
No, I think so. I think we all have that. Does not everybody have that moment in a race where they're just ready to pull the plug?
Not at every race.
Every day.
I have had it.
Every day.
Just every day, period. Forget about races.
Oh, God.
Muscleman was definitely my closest. I thought about
That was a
it.
toughie
Especially
for you.
like that's a 2-loop race. Like it's easy to quit after one.
I thought about it there too.
Yeah. No, I would say, so that one was pretty tough, but that did not compare to the Ironman that I did, my first one. I went in really prepared. I felt really strong.
Where was your first Ironman?
Ironman Maryland, representing right here. Yeah, 2019. I was doing really well. I was training really strong, slow progression. Most of my heart rate was like green or blue, probably closer to like blue for most training. And there would be like little bits of yellow and red, or like high intensity training. And then I get to the race. I feel good. Swim was great. Come out of the water, top 5. Get on the bike. People were like biking really hard. So I actually had a fair amount of people on the bike pass me, which didn't typically happen. But I knew, like, I just kept on telling myself, like, it's a long training day. And I'll see them on the run. Like, hopefully they're walking and I'm not walking. But so I get to the marathon and I try and hold out as long as I can before I start walking. And I got to about mile 20, and you could just tell by the pictures that my sister and my now wife took of me. I went from being like ecstatic to like a little bit tired to like closing my eyes when they're taking pictures of me. I just felt like deflated. So then I walked like all the aid stations, and then with like 2 miles to go, I just started to cramp up in every single muscle in my body. And I felt like my hamstrings were like going to pull me from standing up erect to the ground. Like that's what I felt like.
And
was
why
gonna
do you
happen.
think all this?
Because I tried to hold out on the walking portion. So I ran for like 20 miles straight, and my times were like slowing down and my heart rate was going up. So I was doing more work than what I really should be doing.
Mm-hmm.
And this kind of led me to the realization.
Were you fueling correctly?
He asked if you were fueling correctly.
Were you fueling correctly?
Yeah, my body was just fatigued. Yeah, it was just
needed more walk breaks.
Yeah, that's basically what it was. So, the last 2 miles, I was like looking at my time and I was like, I could just like walk these last 2 miles and get to the finish, like no problem. But I'm too competitive, so I kept on running, like run walk the last 2 miles. But yeah, that
So
made
how were
me
you able
realize,
how were you able to though, like dig deep there and just will yourself there? I mean, your whole body is just cramping. You can't even, you could barely stand.
yeah.
You know, you kind of messed up on this race,
Mhm.
and now the finish line is
Yeah.
close, but it's still
well,
a little distant.
let's not say messed up. Like, you still finished with sub 10 hour. You were like 9:40 something,
Yeah.
right? Like,
Yeah.
I mean, let's not call that a mess up, right?
Yeah. 9:37, but who's counting?
Oh,
that's,
sorry.
Greg.
That's a mess up in my book. That's pretty terrible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I didn't want to disappoint or like waste the time of the people that came to support me.
Oh.
So I was able to like dig deep with that, but it was also like get to this next marker, whether it was a post on a fence or like a light post or something like that. I was just like, get to that point and then I'll reevaluate, and then get to that point, reevaluate, keep on doing that. And I was able to do that the last 2 miles to really finish the race. Yeah.
Cool.
Mm-hmm.
Were you walking in the last 2 miles or just running?
I was actually able to trot, so not walking, which was really good. But I still stuck to walking every aid station. And in Ironman Maryland, it's like a 2.5 loop run. And the last little bit, you have an aid station that is probably 400 meters from the finish line. And you know what I did?
Wow.
I walked that aid station.
You did.
I did.
It's okay.
Stick
felt
You
to the
ran
plan.
across the finish line.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. So we when we think of, like, you train, like, you go through this kind of, or let me reiterate what this is. Did you take that learning and like, what'd you get from that into your second Ironman? Because I think you went into your second one with pretty high expectations, right?
Yeah.
And like, it was by far a much more difficult course at Arizona.
Yeah. So for that second one, I just did a walk run strategy the entire marathon
From the beginning.
Yeah. My same strategy was for the swim and the bike. Like, just swim like I normally do because I have that background. Wasn't too stressed about that. Bike was like, don't overbike it. Meaning don't overdo it, making yourself faster on the bike just to pay for it in the run. So like when people pass me, it's like, I don't care. It's a long training day.
Yeah.
And then I definitely had a much faster marathon because of it. So for that one, it was every 2 miles there was an aid station. So I would literally run for 2 miles and then walk the entire aid station. And I was actually going back and forth with the second place female there, which was actually pretty cool. She was running constantly the entire time. So every aid station she would run past me, and then I'd start running again at the end and then catch up to her, get to the next aid station, she would pass me. And that happened until like mile 22. And then she passed me for the last time, and then I ran the last 5K and I was able to keep ahead of her, which was pretty neat. But it was fun to like go back and forth that whole thing. But
Yeah,
I definitely
you had
was
like a
able
little
to save,
carrot.
Yeah, I was definitely able to save enough energy for the last 5K, so it was good. Yeah, so I would say don't look down on the walk run strategy. If anyone watched the Ironman World Championships in the beginning of October, the winner, professional female and male, walked the aid stations. So like if they're doing it, there's got to be something to it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It pays dividends later on in the race if you just have those little walking breaks.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I think Rich is frozen.
Oh,
He does look frozen.
Yes.
Oh yeah, his connection must have froze there.
So let's kind of move into, because I feel like your last Ironman was like right before COVID, right? Like, and that sort of after that, right, has shut down.
No, so 2019 was my first one. 2020, I actually had a lot of weddings, so I didn't plan on doing a race, an Ironman that year. And then I planned to do one in 2021, which I did in Arizona.
Okay.
And that was one where I had a better marathon and actually qualified to go to St. George. which was pretty
Oh,
awesome.
right.
But then unfortunate injury led me to not be able to do that race. Yeah.
So then let's jump into kind of like your coaching, like how your experience as an athlete has kind of shaped your coaching. What you know as a coach, what you try and get your athletes to do as a coach and stuff like that. So what was that experience like going from athlete, especially like as a swimmer who has been coached since you've been, a preteen?
Yeah.
That relationship with your coach is always a strong one. Like you going then from being the coached athlete to being the coach, like what's that like?
Yeah. So like,
or how did that come about, I guess?
Yeah. So like before that, if we backtrack a little bit, out of college, I started personal training, and then I got into CrossFit coaching. And then from that, I went to actually swim team coaching. Like they were between 10 and like 13-year-olds. So I had a little bit of background with that. Then when I got into the sport of triathlon, then I got like really interested in learning all this stuff about training and going faster and all this stuff. So I actually took a coaching course and then read a bunch of books. And fortunately, there was an interest in people wanting to be coached. And I was like, great, let's do this. We'll do this together. We'll figure it out. And that started back in 2018. I took an athlete from not being able to run at all. And I mean, her first running workout was 10 seconds of jogging and 2 minutes and 20 seconds of walking.
Wow.
And I got her to do 2 half Ironmans so far to date.
That's amazing.
Yeah. That's awesome.
Yeah. That was
Is that Michelle?
Yeah. She's
really?
phenomenal.
That's awesome.
Shout out to Michelle. Great athlete.
Yeah. So how does that feel? How does that feel for you though? Like, I'm sure you, like you said, that last race in college, winning by that, like right at the last second, that emotion. And now as a coach, does that bring you similar feeling, something different?
Yeah.
What is that like for you?
I mean, I don't have any kids right now, but I would equate it to like maybe like parents feeling for their kids doing something really well. Like I almost get more excited for my athletes that do well than I do for myself. Don't get me wrong. I'm happy for like my events and stuff like that, but I'm kind of living vicariously through them and their experiences. And it's been great. Like that Muscle Man event where I didn't participate. I was having a blast following all you, cheering you on, getting some video footage, watching you cross the finish line. It was a great feeling. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So you think it's important for someone entering triathlon to have swim, bike, run background as a kid, or in order to be proficient and to do well in it?
I definitely think having a little bit of swim coaching is really important, but it's not necessary because you can always get that coaching experience later on down the road as long as you're coachable. You hire someone to do lessons with you, and then it goes back to this whole consistency thing. If they tell you 3 things that you need to work on, drills, whatever technique it is, whether you need to get stronger with like some pulling stuff or a stronger kick, like as long as you work on those things, you're going to get better. And I think like being coachable is one of like the most important things, not necessarily needing a swimming, biking, running background.
What is this kicking thing you're talking about?
Yeah. Oh, it's like wasted energy in a swim. Don't worry about it.
Sounds like it.
John, if you had to pick one sport that you had a strong background in as a kid or like pre-triathlon, what do you think it'd be? What do you think would give you the best bang for your buck getting into triathlon?
Runner. Definitely a runner. So it's really good to be a strong swimmer. You get out to the lead, but then the Uber bikers pass you. And then if they're a strong runner, you get all the way to like the finish and then they just blow right past you. And it's
blow past you. It's demoralizing, isn't it? I mean, like, listen,
so.
you're a really good runner, so I don't think you get passed by too many guys.
Oh, I get passed by everyone. That's one of my weakest ones, the run, compared to like my age group kind of thing, you know?
Yes, you're in a hard age group, that's for sure.
Yeah. But it doesn't mean, I take it as a challenge, and I work really hard. I've been working really hard on my run, and it's progressed thus far. You know, I went from 21-minute 5K to 17-minute 5K in 3 years. So pretty excited about that.
That's awesome.
Yeah. How did you do that?
Yeah.
There's hope for us.
Yeah.
I was going to say, hook us up with some tips, man.
How did you go from 21
I think the rest of us are too old.
To 17?
No, don't say that. Maybe Rich.
Challenge
Nobody
accepted.
else.
I'm trying.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, a lot of it is slow progression.
Are you coachable? Was that it?
I am very coachable. That's my coach. He will tell you.
Yeah. So consistency is a big thing. Not progressing like too fast, and then throwing in the speed workouts. And it has to be like very specific, because you can throw in speed workouts and run too fast. But if you're trying to get like a 5K pace, what I did over like the past 3 years is like aim for a little bit faster than what my best time was, and then practice that a bunch of times around the track. And then my next race, say I dropped a little bit of time, now my 5K time intervals are faster, and it's just slowly progressing. Not like, hey, I want to go a 5-minute, pace 5K. I'm going to run 5-minute pace all the time, and then get to a race and do 20 minutes. I don't know.
So almost train for the athlete you are, not the athlete you want to be in 3 or 4 years.
Yeah, because that usually leads to overuse injuries, sadly.
Yeah, I feel like it's a whole nother episode to go into what some of the overuse injuries you see as a PT are coming from endurance sports.
Yeah.
Like that'd be a whole nother episode.
Yeah, teaser.
So shout out to the group track workouts we do Fridays, 5:40 a.m. Pascack Valley High School. If you want to get your 5K down 4 minutes, join us.
Be there.
Who's got the next question?
Oh, okay. So
James.
I think we already touched on this, John, but maybe you want to talk a little bit more about it. We just wanted to get an idea of, so being a coach, do you have a most memorable experience or the most rewarding experience that you can remember being on that side versus an athlete?
Going to one of the first races of my first athlete was really, really awesome. We actually raced in the event together. She started later than I did, so I was able to catch her on the run at the very end, and seeing the excitement, going through that challenge of, it was a sprint triathlon. She probably looks back at it and laughs because she's doing like Olympics and half Ironmans now. But her excitement to get to that finish line was just like the most rewarding feeling that I could ever feel. Because people, when you first start, it's like a big question mark of if you're going to be able to finish it and do it and whatnot. So, you put a lot of effort into it and you want to do well, but you're never quite sure if you got the fueling right, if you got the pacing right. And yeah, that was an amazing feeling. I had her finishing her first race back from an injury. So,
were you nervous for her leading up into it?
No, I was more confident than ever. You'll have to ask her if she's ever a guest. I kept on saying like she's going to be able to do this, and tell her that she's doing a lot better than she thinks she does. But no, I had full confidence she was going to be able to finish it, and it was just good to see it like come to fruition.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
How do you think multisport has changed you as a person?
I would get deep.
Yeah, this one could be a whole episode on its own. So after college, having that like amazing team atmosphere and community, I graduated, and then I like came to this realization, like, who am I? Like, I had an identity crisis kind of thing after school, because at that point, like, my focus had been swimming, school, and I was done with school and I was done with swimming and didn't have a team. So I really wanted to like build that kind of community when I started triathlon, and it's helped find like so many friends and so many connections that I could even like ever imagine. So it's touched on my life a lot more than just like swim, bike, run. It's an amazing community to be a part of, and people help you through the tough times, you know, and I feel very fortunate to have it in my life.
Have you started building a community down there? You moved. I mean, It's been how many months since you moved? Like 3, 2.5?
So
No, it's been like 2 months to the day.
Oh,
Okay.
wow.
Yeah.
Have you started? Have you found some people down there? Have you found your tribe yet?
I'm taking applications. Yeah. So I actually volunteered to lead a master swim that I do every Friday morning at 6 a.m. Yeah.
James told me there's a woman there who's pushing you pretty hard.
Oh, she's so fast.
Really?
Yeah. There's 2 guys there that they're probably the fastest people I swam with since college. So I'm really excited about it. I'm a little selfish, right? I get a little bit out of it too.
Yeah.
So I lead a group that's like 7 or 8 people, and that's pretty fun. And then I'm going to be starting with a local run club, doing a Wednesday track run. And then there's a local bike shop that I try and join the bike rides, but they are so fast.
Wow.
Like, I've never been dropped on a ride until moving down here. And I've been dropped like 7 times in the 8 rides that I joined.
So what do you think it is? I mean, why the caliber of athletes there so high?
So this is like twofold. There's one guy that I met on this last ride, and he cycled professionally, and I'm like, okay, this is gonna be fun. So I don't know, he's been here for a couple of years. That crew's been training together for a while. I trying to like join them. Hey, what's up? And then I get dropped like halfway through. Unintentionally, but I just didn't have it in my legs that day. They're really fast. But the Cary area is one of the highest per capita triathletes.
Really?
Yeah, in like the US. So it's a really good training community.
Training
Have
camp.
you run into Katie Zafiris yet? She lives down there, right?
I actually did.
Yeah.
She and her husband are awesome.
Is
They
that
just
the
had
one you ran with?
Yeah. Yeah.
Postpartum? She just had a kid, right?
Yeah. So about 3.5 months ago, cute little kid. Yeah, I was fortunate enough to get connected through my college swim buddy. We were really close in college and afterwards, but he knew her from school or dated her or something like that. So he connected us because I just moved down here. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Pretty amazing. Yeah.
So cool.
Wow. So you're in the off season now, right? So I'm just wondering, like in this off season that we're all in, do you have any advice for people, like what to do, how to train, how not to train, how to take time off?
I think I missed that one.
Best advice for off season. What's the best advice you would give?
Okay. So big thing that I would say is for after your first season, then you have an off season, right? Evaluate what you did during that season well, where you could improve, and what your goals are for next year. So for me, for example, my first season of triathlon training, I did pretty well. I had to learn a couple of things with like the heart rate and whatnot, but I found that my run was not fast enough. and that I was a little bit weak in my legs and lower legs. So what I focused on in my off season was speed and strength in my legs to help my running form. I've worked with a bunch of athletes, and some of them need a swim block. So maybe they have 6 weeks dedicated towards swimming. They have a video. They work on certain drills. They start building up like speed and threshold in the swim. And then that kind of carries on to the next season of having a stronger swim. So it's kind of wherever you find that you have room for improvement, to focus on that, because the training that you did was really good. There might be a few areas to improve so that the next season is a little bit easier or a little bit faster, whatever you want to get out of the sport.
So would you say that's where having a coach is key?
Yeah, joining a team, whether it just be like an informal coaching with like our memberships, where you join the team, you get some workouts, but you don't get like coaching one-on-one, where you can like ask a little bit of questions, or getting like a full-on coach that knows exactly what you need to work on and will provide you with all the education or training tips or whatever you need to program in order to get faster or make it easier for next time. Yeah.
How much recovery time do you take? When I guess you've done your last race, maybe the fall season of running's over. Do you like 3 months, just do nothing, relax, and then get right back into it like 6 weeks before a race?
That sounds like someone I know would do it that way.
Is that wishful?
It's a hypothetical situation.
Yeah. No, I mean, so with swimming for so many years, we only took 2 weeks off to like reset our body and then get back into the swing of things. So I follow that method.
Oof.
Yeah.
How old are you now, John?
32.
Okay. We'll see how you evaluate that when you get in your 40s.
How much time are you planning to take off after your race, James?
I don't know. I
that much.
I definitely need a break. I've never run this much in my life. Like, it's so much. And I enjoy the whole process and the discipline and like just the whole going through the motions. And I want to keep as much as possible. But part of me is like, oh my gosh, I just want to sleep in one day. It's like every weekend, wake up early now to get something long in. So
yeah, you kind of have like 2 weeks?
2 weeks from Sunday.
Oof.
That's it.
Exciting.
You don't have to run as long after that.
Yeah,
that's true.
But so, John, I think, I mean, you're younger than I am by quite a bit. And I grew up as a swimmer. Swimming is like freaking Stone Age, at least when I did it, as far as training methodologies and what they understood about physiology. I had a coach who at the time, and I still kind of think this, was a decade ahead of his time in his understanding of stuff. But we still just flogged ourselves every freaking day. Like every day was hard. And it was like, okay, what's the most ridiculous set the coach can come up with? And that's what we're doing today. I think like triathlons really changed my understanding of how to train and like just get a better idea of that kind of stuff. But like you said, like a little bit of time off is a good thing, but maybe Jamesing it for 3 months is a little too much.
Yeah, I would say with my different teams that I was on, one of the big shifts was because of that training methodology that I kind of touched on earlier. The new program that I went to had a couple people make Olympic time trials. So their programming was definitely different than other teams that I had been part of. And my college coaching was more along the lines of that, but still even more focused. So, but yeah, I definitely say that was kind of like the case when I was younger. It was just like, all right, today's 2100s, go as fast as you can for as long as you can.
As fast as you can, right? Yeah. Right.
So,
welcome back, Rich. It looks like you've rejoined us.
in a different room.
Sort of.
It's in a different room.
Yeah, I hope
No
my
mic.
tech issues got resolved.
Oh, much better.
Yeah.
Just pull the microphone out of your mouth now.
We did ask all the questions that were assigned to you, though. So I don't know.
Good deal.
John, so what's next on your race plans?
It's kind of up in the air. It's kind of depending on how I'm able to build up my endurance and recovery. I plan on doing like a sprint Olympic and maybe a half Ironman at the end of next year. I plan to do the 70.3 North Carolina race. So I know a couple of you are signed up for it.
Mm-hmm.
Can you touch on what you're recovering from? I know we don't want to dig too deep into it.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to scare too many people in the sport of triathlon. But yeah, so I was in an accident and I fractured my pelvis and I was laid up in bed for several weeks recovering from that. So my endurance has come way down, and I think that plays into why I'm getting dropped on these bike rides. Maybe, I don't know. I'll blame it on that. So
yeah, it's allowed.
Yeah. So yeah, that was a tough recovery. That's why I couldn't go to World Championships at St. George, and why I couldn't go to World Championships in Abu Dhabi for Team USA. But I'm excited to get back next year and challenge myself and try and get back some of that speed. So it'll be good. It'll be a good challenge.
Yeah. And I think one of the take home messages from that, like without digging into it, is like you're taking your time. You're not trying to rush back into things, right? Like, I mean, you realized that whether mentally or whatever you want to be back and at the sharp end of a race, like you realize your body needs time to get back to 100%. And you're doing that, you're taking that slow game, long game, whatever you want to call it, approach to, getting back to 100%.
Yeah. And I definitely have that like PT mindset because I'm a physical therapist of like just slow progression. Like right now I'm running like a mile, maybe a mile and a half. And then I walk and I just let my body recover. My muscles get the energy again. And then I go a little bit longer. So, just slowly building up, being patient, being consistent. I really think that like in life, things tend to work themselves out as long as you're working towards something. And I know I'm going to be back. It's just going to take a little bit of time. That's all. Yeah.
Now's a chance to try to beat you up on every hill on the cycle.
Now, of course, now he moves away.
Get as many KOs
that was
as
a
possible.
strategic move.
Yeah,
So
it
James
had to
wouldn't beat him on.
be. Probably the only time we could have beat him at the track, for sure.
His Strava times, though, I see them. They're coming down.
I'm getting there a little bit, but I also had to run with an Olympian, so I had to keep up.
I got to tell you, John, like you did that first group ride down there, and I see the Training Peaks numbers that come through, and it's like John Mendenhall set a 5-minute power record. His 10-minute power record, his 30-minute power. Like you set every all-time high on that ride you got dropped on.
Yeah. I'm telling you, man, they're so fast down here.
They're so fast.
And so I'm excited, but I have to build up to get there. So it's going to be good. But yeah, I don't know if you saw my next ride with them. It was like a new threshold and a new heart rate max and all that stuff.
You pushed yourself even harder.
Yeah.
We got our work cut out for us if there's going to ever be a next level north versus south
we got to have
showdown.
A camp.
Yeah.
Down there.
Ooh,
that training camp down there.
That'd be a blast. Yeah. I'm down.
How big is your apartment?
I got a spare bedroom.
I think we're seeing it.
I got a spare bedroom. So how many people can fit in here? We got a really nice couch. So there's two
inflatable beds.
Yeah.
Cool.
I mean, just make sure you're not wearing your Speedo for sharing a bed.
Yeah.
I still have that thing.
Oh, boy.
You did ask me if you had to wear anything special for the podcast. I didn't know that was on the cards.
It's like under this shirt. That's all I'm wearing, but I won't stand up.
Yeah, John will casually like get up to get something. We just see him in the Speedo.
That's called the Zoom fit.
Yeah, there we go.
Oh, man. So this has been good.
Yeah, it's been nice. It's been nice to chat with you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, absolutely. So thanks everybody for listening. We're going to let Dr. John go. But if you check out our YouTube channel, we will have kind of a rapid fire series of questions that you can hear some, we've had a couple of funny moments here, but hopefully on that rapid fire questions, we'll get some even funnier ones. So, Dr. John, thank you very much for spending some time with us. And to all my co-hosts, thank you guys for taking this time to.
Thank you again for listening to the Team Next Level Coaches Roundtable. We love bringing you content that we think will help you with your athletic journey, whatever that may be. If you enjoy this podcast, please leave a review, drop us a 5-star rating in whatever podcast app you like to use, or leave us a comment about things you'd like to hear in the future. If you'd like to learn more about Team Next Level and all we offer, please go check out our website, goteamnltry.com. That's goteamnltry.com. There, you can find out about all the things we offer, such as our training squad for people in the northern New Jersey area, one-on-one coaching options for both local and remote athletes, as well as more useful content for those of you just looking to learn a little bit more about us. Remember, that's goteamnltry.com. Thank you again for giving us a listen, and for myself and all the coaches, we can't thank you enough for listening to our podcast and spending some time with us.